Hello, welcome back to Shit They Don't Tell You. I'm Nikki Limo.
Hello, buddy. It's Iceman.
Buddy?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You said hello, buddy?
I said hello, buddy. Was that not clear?
That's weird.
Hey, bud.
Just one person?
I was trying to say hello, everybody, but I just said buddy. Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, I wasn't on purpose.
So, do you know what we're talking about today?
No.
Me neither, really. Honestly, this is just going to be kind of an exploration along the similar lines of the episodes that I have been doing, although there's no aliens in this one. Well, there could be if we want it to be.
What a shame.
There really could be anything in this episode. And after I'm done with this episode, you'll realize there are so many versions of this episode in different realities that exist because we're talking about quantum physics today.
Whoa.
Yeah. And also I guess this episode could be titled Girl Watches Everything Everywhere All at Once one time and then does a topic on quantum physics.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
So, yeah, recently when Steve was... No, you weren't gone. You were still here.
I was doing Crypto Corner.
You were doing Crypto Corner. I turned
Which
on...
check us out on Patreon, eh?
Yeah,
YouTube.
A, buddy?
Patreon.com/sticky.
STIKKI.
I do a crypto show every week called Crypto Corner. Nikki and I...
He dives very deep into all your crypto questions.
Yes, it's very fun.
And we do a live stream every month, and there's poker tournaments, all kinds of fun stuff. A Discord. But that's neither here nor there.
So yeah, I was doing Crypto Corner and you were watching the movie Everything
I was watching,
Everywhere All at Once.
Yes, exactly. And I've been wanting to watch this movie for a while. Everybody's talking about it. And it seems like kind of polarizing. Some people like love it, like, oh my God, so good. And some people were like, I don't really like it, whatever. It was meh.
I've heard like amazing things, and then I've heard that too, yeah.
I fall in the camp of amazing. It was very moving to me emotionally, but also... I've been in this kind of existential crisis state.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of fit in with that. And maybe some people are more at a stable state and they're like, what is this shit? I'm not ready for this.
True.
And maybe, some people are just kind of stoic in
between. Can you
between.
explain some of your existential crisis?
I am getting there. Yes.
Okay.
I will, Steve. Thanks for asking. I wouldn't say that this existential crisis is a bad thing. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, I want to die. Like, why do I exist? Sometimes you can have ones like that are kind of depressing, but mostly an existential crisis is just questioning existence itself. Why do we exist? How do we exist? Is there a point of existing? Blah, blah, blah. And then you can add whatever emotion you feel on top of that, because sometimes you could be like, is existing even real? Everything's silly. And then you go in that realm. Or you could be like, is existing real? And you're like, what's the point? I want to die. And you can go down that direction. And I think that this movie is kind of like exploring quantum physics in a way that supports multiverses, having different universes or parallel realities, which you made a decision at one point in time that split off this reality into another reality until they got so far apart where you have versions of you doing all kinds of things, like anything you've ever been interested in. Let's say, when you're younger, you wanted to be a firefighter or whatever. There's a version of you out there that's a firefighter, or there's a version of you out there that's a famous comedian on SNL, or there's a version of you out there that's cashed out on crypto, and there's a version.
I'm probably the worst timeline, I think.
And the girl in this movie felt like she was in the worst timeline. She felt like she had this failing laundromat business. She immigrated from, I think, Korea. I can't remember where they immigrated from, but she took a chance with this guy and they immigrated to America and they started a laundromat business, and now they're getting audited by Jamie Lee Curtis, who, by the way, does a fantastic job as an auditor character. And she just she's getting, her husband wants to divorce her daughter hates her, and she has this failing business, and she kind of wonders what would have happened if she stayed in her home country, or what would have happened. She kind of likes to sing. She's like, what if I would have pursued singing? What if this, blah, blah, blah. And then she finds this way where she can jump reality. It's she's introduced to this way because actually she has to save the whole universe. And she finds out.
I didn't know that's what this movie is about.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, these aren't spoilers. This happens within the first, 15 minutes of the movie. But yeah, she basically finds out how to jump universes to all these different realities where she is a famous singer in one, and she is like this like martial art master in one, and like she kind of goes, damn, like of all the timelines, why did I get stuck in this one? But then by the end, you know, she has all these like revelations, and she goes through this whole learning process, and it's a really fun time. But anyway, yeah, I feel like that's fun, a fun idea, first of all, to explore. But also I feel like I've been having a similar thing, but not the same. And it's kind of, I don't know how to explain this. I'm not being very articulate right now. And I really didn't really approach this topic in a way that's like structured. So it's hard for me to put all my thoughts into like bullet points. But time itself has been something that I've been intrigued and exploring in a way that I don't feel like I have before. I feel like a lot of us operate very linear, very like, I go to work, I come home, I do this. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, it's Halloween, and then it's Thanksgiving, and it's Christmas, and then it's New Year, and then we go like we have the same things every year, the same kind of day structure, week structure, and you never really stop to question anything, really. And like it's like, oh, well, this is how society functions. But then this year in particular, where I haven't operated that way, where it's like, what happens if we don't have to worry about time? I've gotten to like follow what's fun, and a lot of what's fun has ignited different parts of my past life. Like I put on rollerblades, and even though it's 2022, I feel like I'm 8 years old and like rollerblading home from school, and I'm listening to 90s music, and it takes me back to this different era, but not like I'm flashing back and I'm living in the 90s, more like my 90s self is living in 2022.
That's cool.
And like the 8-year-old in me is like having so much fun rollerblading, not like I'm 35 pretending I'm 8 again. Like literally 8-year-old me is coming out and like having so much fun rollerblading, listening to 90s music, very like fun in this
I wish everyone could see your expression when you're rollerblading, because it is like that.
It is. I don't feel like I'm 35. I feel like I'm 8 years old. And I was talking to my therapist a year ago because I think I might have mentioned this on a Shit They Don't Tell You After Dark episode, where I was like struggling with the concept of death, of like how everyone I know and love is going to die, and you know, that kind of thing, and nostalgia, and how like moments in time, you never get them back again. And I was really like having a hard time emotionally with accepting that like once an era passes, you don't get to go back to it.
Right.
And my therapist was like, I freaking love my therapist. She's so like connected and like so the right one for me. But she was talking about how everything continues to live. And like first she asked me if I believe that, like if I believe consciousness just ends at death, or if I believe that we ascend beyond the physical realm. And I personally believe that we ascend beyond the physical realm. I don't know where. I don't know if we go to like heaven in the Christian sense, or if we go, or if there's something else or whatever. Like, but I don't think it just like bam, lights out, end forever, blackout forever. I think there's like a non-physical part of us that continues. And she's like, okay, well, if that's true, then does it operate on the same like timeline? It's like, no, obviously it doesn't, because it's not in the physical realm. And it's like, if that's true, then every part of you like continues to exist. So like, she's like, think of it like a stream, like there's a river, right? You're imagining this river, and like baby you goes down the river, and then it collects 5-year-old you, and then it collects teenager you, and they're all traveling down the same river, which is your consciousness. And then like it collects 21-year-old you and 30-year-old you, and all parts of you that you've ever been throughout your entire life are still in you. They still live within you, which is another reason why there's a healing process you kind of have to go through if you had trauma throughout your life, because it still lives in you and it still affects your current day self and reality. And until you can heal those wounds and that trauma, then you can't really like move past it and evolve and grow into a new version of you. And so like all of those things kind of connect. And this really hit me hard after I saw this movie. It like connected all these feelings that I had about like 8-year-old me feeling like she's rollerblading. And then I went to a Lagwagon concert by myself, and I talk about this in a vlog, but I don't know when you're going to see that vlog because I'm really behind on editing. But yeah, when I was at this Lagwagon concert, I went alone, and
I was out of town.
I didn't feel alone because I felt like teenager Nikki was there, like freaking moshing in steel-toe boots with Dickies on, and it was the same songs. Like it's like music triggers it, and activities trigger it, and certain smells trigger these memories, but they're not just memories. It's like that version of me is living and experiencing joy in this present day reality. And I don't know how to explain that other than
makes total sense.
That movie really captured that, where it's like this jumping timeline, almost as if like 16-year-old me got to jump to this version, but she still enjoys the things that she enjoyed back then. And then like right after the concert, I went and played poker, which is something that 35-year-old me really enjoys right now. Like I'm really passionate and find a lot of joy in playing poker right now. And I've been feeling that like these different like timelines of myself have been showing up in this reality. And I wonder how long that's happened, that I just didn't really observe it. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't really care. I wasn't really paying attention to it or really exploring existence at that time, you know, and I didn't really have the time to either. Like this year, I kind of gave myself I don't know if you want to call it a gap year or a retirement year, or just like kind of just let myself be out in the open, like a free roll year. Like let's just do whatever feels like fun for that moment in time during this year. And you get 1 year to do it. And all this cool stuff popped up, all these different thoughts, different emotions, different concepts of how I think life is. And so then, yeah, I was watching that movie, and I'm sorry, I feel like I've been doing a monologue this whole time.
This is interesting.
Okay. Join in at any time if you want. But yeah, I just have not found, I haven't formatted this topic in a way that's like I'm reading from bullet points where in a structured way. Okay.
I'm very interested.
And so anyway, after the movie, I like wanted to read about parallel universes and quantum mechanics, and we've been doing like simulation theory and hollow earth theory and aliens and civil and like history of the world and how things exist. And I think that parallel universes are really cool because it's supported by math. Like there's actually formulas. I think it's called the Schrödinger formula. It's a formula of how particles exist, basically. And I'm sure you've heard this before about how so in this formula, it's like everything exists in waveforms, like particles exist in waveforms until they're observed. And then there's like a measurement but you can't measure it until it's observed. And when it's not observed, it just exists in this waveform.
Which is wild.
Yeah, it's so wild. And so that's how we explore quantum mechanics, is that, well, if that's true, then there's like, depending on when you look at this particle, it can be, you're creating different realities of what that thing is. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was Schrödinger that came up with the cat in the box. Yeah. Where, if you put a cat in a box and then you have this decaying, was it a radioactive atom? Basically, it becomes radioactive after it decays to a certain point. And it sets off this trigger that poisons the cat with radioactive energy, mm-hmm. right? But if it's not being observed, then it exists in this so I think it's called superposition. I wish I would have written a lot of this down.
That's okay.
But yeah, so you can watch videos on this. There's a lot of like videos that break down all of the formulas and all of the math, but I just love the concepts. And I don't think that you have to exactly be a mathematician to understand the concepts behind. Just know that it's supported by math. So basically, when it's not being observed, it's in the superposition where it's two states at one time. It's both decayed and not decayed at the same time. So the cat, because it has both, this atom has both triggered and not triggered the thing that poisons the cat at the same time. The cat is both alive and dead at the same time until
because of the possibilities.
Yeah, until it's observed by you or whoever's observing the cat. And then at which point, once it's observed, it becomes a fixed reality of that the cat is either dead or alive, but both are real.
Right.
So it splits off into these different realities where you looked at the cat and it was dead, and then another you looked at the cat and it was alive. And now it's like this entanglement, is what they call it, of when now this could be the thing that's in a superposition intersects with, that is now affecting the things around it, right? So then they become in this like wave form where they're like not solid until someone observes it.
Isn't it crazy that science has gotten to the point where they can just sound like stoners now?
Yeah, I watched many videos and I was like, this just sounds like an acid trip.
Yeah.
It doesn't
They
sound
like
real.
Stoners talking to you and you're like, okay, dude, whatever.
Like science fiction is not very far from science.
Right.
And I think it's really fun in that regard that when they're constructing science fiction, scientists go back and dissect science fiction to see how they can how that could actually be a possibility. And there were quantum physicists that were involved in, helping Marvel create the multiverses and helping Everything Everywhere All at Once create like, in a real way,
backing
like how
it
this
up with the real stuff.
Yeah, exists, which I think is so fascinating that it's not just like this woo-woo theory of like what if and blah blah blah. There's like formulas that exist that like any possible version of you is a possibility that's out there.
It's wild.
That you could, or in one realm, are president or whatever. And I just think that like I don't know if it made my existential crisis better or worse.
Sure.
But I do know that the movie gave people hope. Like in such a really dark time that we're in, like where there's like the pandemic and
nuclear war potentially
and it just seems like every time you like look at a headline, it's bad, it's devastating, it's crazy, it's like so bad that people want to invert into themselves because it's like not hopeful, know. Whereas in if you explore like quantum mechanics, it's like, well, every possible outcome is real, right? So then you don't have to exist on this timeline where we're on the verge of a nuclear war, like there's crazy corruption in politics or whatever. Like there's a timeline where that's not real, and like people, you can kind of like latch onto that, and you can also affect that, which is it ties back to this other philosophical or maybe like spiritual aspect of like manifesting or law of attraction, but basically they're all saying the same thing, that you can create your own reality, and simulation theory or whatever it's all like you can create your own reality, and us as a collective are creating the world's reality, because reality is only based off of what we agree on is true as a collective. So that's how quantum physics talks about things too, is like we can both agree that there's a bookshelf right there, but it's only existing because both of us agree that it exists.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just so weird, right? Like if we all agreed there was no bookshelf there, then it wouldn't exist anymore.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I just think that all that is crazy, and also more fun to go down than the like everything is determined and like the reality is concrete and that these things are going to lead to global warming and just cataclysmic events. We're fucked. No matter where you go, we're fucked,
Right.
But if everybody just agreed that we're not fucked.
That's interesting. I think it'd be really hard to get there. I mean, just look at how negative some people are.
But that's why it's like it's like, yeah, everyone's negative but you're constantly watching negative shit, right? Like the news is always, because that gets more clicks and more eyeballs. When something's negative, that's a proven psychological thing, that it just bad news attracts more people than good news. And people want the drama, you know? And so like they're like, well, we need more eyeballs for the money, so we'll just constantly put bad shit out there. And so you're always watching bad shit and thinking bad shit's gonna happen, and then bad shit does happen because you're always thinking about bad shit happening. And it's just like this cycle that you can spiral down. And if we're all doing that, like or a great majority, a mass population of people are all doing that, all watching bad stuff, all thinking bad things, all producing negative energy, it does create, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know?
It's so hard to be mindful of kindness sometimes, though. Like, especially like when things are swirling, like around us, you know? Like, I remember during COVID especially, like, it was really difficult. Like, you know me, I'm a pretty hopeful dude. I'm pretty optimistic.
Above the two of us, I feel like you're mostly stably optimistic.
Yeah, but it's just difficult sometimes. Like, sometimes you just get wrapped up in, like, a little mood or whatever. And no matter what somebody says about whatever it is, it's just like there's a fuck that, or like mentality to it, or even just something that I started noticing that I was doing, like, I don't know, a decade ago, and I started being like, why do I do that? That's so stupid. Is this comparative reality shit? Like, where you can't like something, you have to also not like something else.
Yeah, like you can't just like pancakes without shitting on waffles.
Exactly. Like you can't like this actor. You have to shit on the other actor who was in the movie with this actor. It's like weird. It's fucking weird, but we all do it. But
I don't know. I feel like we don't all do it, and it's.
I just mean I hear it all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things like where I think that could be fixed with that kind of mindfulness, or at least stepping out of yourself and going, "Why do I do this?" But I don't think many people. I mean, I hope that people want to do that, but I don't think that they necessarily are actively trying to do that.
That's true. Okay, I wasn't trying to correct you in a way that's like, not all of us do. I get frustrated because I personally don't do that, and when I see it happen, it gets.
You definitely don't do that. It
makes
funny.
me really disappointed.
You don't do that, but it's just something I hear all the time.
Yeah, I do too, and it's like I would love to I would love to feel like that can change, like that maybe there could be a conscious shift in mindset of like that we don't have to do that, and that we can all create like whatever reality you want to create. And I think that's actually what's behind all of it, is that people feel like they like stuck, right? And like so their outlet is like feeling like they might have control over something, even subconsciously, where they're like, I like this more than this, and like their opinions matter, and like their opinions matter so little in their reality, like or the reality that they've created, like where they feel like they say something and it doesn't really matter to anyone around them. But if they go home and they're watching a video, they can make an opinion, or they can go on social media and like get on a soapbox and state an opinion, and it matters. Like at least it feels like it matters to them. So then it feels like they matter in a world where they feel like they don't matter.
But it's also, I think there is a searching for agreement. Like for example, here's a good example.
A confirmation bias?
Yeah, definitely. But also, just like, you know me, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I did not like the new Disney Star Wars movies. And nobody was more devastated about it than me. You remember, like, I went to the premiere for The Force Awakens in like 2015. I got Maker to get me in or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was there for the first screening. Like, J.J. Abrams there, everybody's there. Han Solo was there. It was tight.
I told you that no one's going to care if you bring your cell phone, and you were very like...
I was so nervous.
Yeah.
So little quick aside, I didn't bring my phone because they said you can't have a cell phone in the theater because they were nervous about like leaks and shit. So then I just left my phone at home, but I didn't know that they were going to bag all of our phones like when we got there. I didn't know that. So I basically had to call a taxi and have them like pick me up after I walked to a hotel afterward because I had no way to get home. And I didn't want to park down there, obviously, because it was a goddamn nightmare shit show.
Yeah.
They like shut down LA basically for this thing. And they had tents all over the city streets and stuff. So we were walking through the city streets to like watch this thing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But I watched that movie. I was so bummed that it wasn't good. Like that I didn't know where to go because nobody had seen the fucking movie yet. So
You're like looking for coping.
Yeah, coping.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing. I wasn't like, I can't wait to shit on this movie. I was just like, I couldn't wait to watch this fucking movie and see what happened to my favorite characters, and like what's going on in the universe and all this shit. And I know there's bigger stuff in the world, guys. I was just excited about my stupid fucking movie, right? And so yeah, by the time it was done, I think I became, by the time the run was on, right, then I got to talk to people online about it, and I felt like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Because other people I saw it with, like who were around me, I remember I saw it was a couple of those Smosh guys were around, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what'd you think? And then he liked it. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Only because I just wanted to not feel crazy.
But I think that's different than saying I like pancakes and fuck waffles. Like,
right.
I think like having liking or disliking something is different than the comparative reality thing you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Because like I definitely do that when I watch videos. If I notice something in the video and I scroll the comments to see if anyone else noticed that, because no one's talking about it,
yes.
and it's like glaring at me that like this thing happened in the video, or like I felt like a certain thing that the person said was fake, like, or like, wait, that didn't seem authentic.
Does anybody else pick up on this?
Yeah, exactly. And like when no one else does, I'm like, am I crazy? And I get that part of it. But I think that's different from the like, if I like this person, I have to put them on a scale of how much I like them next to this other person. Like it happens on Big Mood sometimes, or like any group setting like that, or any group thing that I've ever been on where it's like, I like this girl more than this girl. And it's like,
right,
why do you have to like put it, just say you like that girl.
I know,
why do you have to,
so
why
weird.
is it like, I like this girl and then this girl and then I'm ranking them all now.
Yeah.
And like, why? I just never understood that. I don't do that. So I never understood that. I have like a favorite, like if I was watching Spice Girls as a kid, like I have a favorite Spice Girl. Yeah. I have a favorite Captain Planet person. I have a favorite Power Ranger, but I don't go like, well, they're better than that one. I
know it's weird, but we all fall for it here and there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but it is, when it comes to maybe what you're getting at, which is I think making people realize that they can affect reality through positivity. Yes. I think it's tougher.
And well, yeah. Okay. So this is the thing that I had been wanting to talk about.
And we're going to talk about it after we come back from this break.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got a problem. I have a problem. You have a problem. We all got problems. And you know what? We should actually work on fixing them and getting the tools to fix them. That's why we always recommend therapy during our Q&As, during questions that people write in, and a lot of episodes. I just think that
guess what we're about to do right now.
Therapy can't be wrong for you.
We're about to recommend therapy.
We are still recommending therapy. Back on our game of recommending therapy.
Because it's important to prioritize your mental health and your wellness every day. When you work on yourself, you start to see and feel positive changes in all areas of your life.
And when it comes to therapy and psychiatry, getting the help you need has never been so simple. Enter Talkspace. Talkspace is a really simple way to get the help that you need. They have a bunch of licensed therapists, and they're trained in over 40 different specialties. So whether you have anxiety, depression, relationships, things, what you lost someone in your family, your therapist can help you and also help you get the tools to set and achieve your goals.
Talkspace is mental health care that meets you wherever you are. It simplifies taking care of your therapy and psychiatry needs because it eliminates the need to commute to appointments, miss time at work, or line up childcare in order to attend sessions.
Yeah, because you can FaceTime from anywhere, so you don't have to actually drive to a therapist office or anything. And you can text your therapist in between sessions. You can get a lot of phone calls or text messages so that they can help you out when you're going through something instead of waiting for that next session.
As a listener of this podcast, you get $100 off your first month with Talkspace. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com.
Make sure to use the code STDTY to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show.
That's STDTY and Talkspace.com. Nikki, what's the last thing you do before you go to bed?
I try not to check my phone, but then I sneak a check phone.
Yeah, I sneak a check phone too. But you know what I don't sneak a check on is my credit score.
That's true. Me neither.
But at Chime, that is exactly what they do. They're always peeping on your credit score. Because with their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build your credit with your own money.
Yeah, it's really cool. So even if you don't have any credit, or maybe you took a hit to your credit score and you're having trouble getting approved for a credit card, you don't need any sort of approval with this. You just deposit your own money, then charge the card against yourself basically, and then pay it off with your own money. And so it's never actually getting yourself into debt. You're just paying back yourself, and it helps you build credit.
All this with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. Chime reports your payments to credit bureaus to help you build credit over time, and their members see an increase of up to 30 points on average.
Which is huge. So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up only takes 2 minutes, and it doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/STDTY.
That's chime.com/STDTY.
The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by Stride Bank N.A. pursuant to a license from Visa USA. Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some users' scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Okay, we're back from break.
Yes.
So I wanted to do a topic on manifesting and stuff, but I didn't know how to approach it because it does sound a little like woo-woo. I can acknowledge that, right?
And we can handle being woo. I don't care.
I'm a crystal lady. I'm already too woo-woo for people sometimes. But I like to see if there's an aspect of woo-woo stuff that is scientific. And I think this is the closest version that I have found, where it's like that ties into the airy-fairy spiritual stuff, right? Like, and I love when things tie into each other, just like how I loved the civilization thing, where like aliens tie into like a spiritual reality too, of religion and God and stuff. It's like science meets religion in a way that I think is cool. Well, the law of attraction, I felt like, so this year when I was talking about having a gap year and stuff, I wanted to do stuff that was completely different than anything I was doing previously in LA. Like something unrelated to YouTube, unrelated to the entertainment industry, unrelated to like anything I had strived for, and just see what happens. Like, can you attract things? Can you create a reality that you have no experience in, like that, right? You like from scratch, just kind of, I get into experiments. I love learning new shit. So like, I just like experimenting with stuff, and never have I had the time to like see where an experiment would go. Like if I learned something new, like how far could I take it? Cause I had to, work on other stuff. And so, with poker, that's kind of what I was doing. And it was like, I wonder, like, I want to play the WSOP. Like, I've never studied tournament poker. Okay, like that's a far stretch that you could like actually succeed in the WSOP after just picking, started studying it.
Everyone says that. And it's fucking crazy.
Which is wild, and I'm not trying to be like, look how special I am, but I focused more. I mean, I studied my ass off, but I also like visualized a lot. Like did a lot of like how emotionally how I would feel if I was final tabling, like, and like really making it real, and really like, because if it's true that like you can create your own reality based off of your feelings and beliefs. And by the way, I guess I should have explained how law of attraction works. Is in law of attraction, you visualize something as if it's already happened. So as if you're already living that thing. Like, what emotions do you have? Not wanting that thing, because then you're just attracting more wanting that thing. But how does it feel if you actually already had that? You're already living it. You already have that experience. It's already in your reality, and you visualize it over and over. Like you kind of have it until it's like it's real inside of you, and then the universe conspires to manifest it into a physical form, like into the physical reality that you live in. And that's how law of attraction works. And so I visualized this thing that's crazy, like because it's not that crazy. Like there's still a way to get there. It's just the odds of you getting there are crazy, or what's crazy about it. But using visualization techniques and law of attraction, it's like, oh, I did.
But it's almost like one thing begets the other.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just sit there and visualize $1 million and then you look at your bank account and like, oh my god, I have $1 million.
By the way, would have been maybe the greatest accomplishment ever if you studied zero poker, 0.000 poker. You just showed up at the WSOP and you final table because you fucking visualized that shit, and you gave an interview like, I just visualized that shit.
There is a possibility you could do that because you don't.
Funny.
I mean, variance wise, you could just shove all in and just like there's a slight percent that you could just continue to do that and win,
which is hilarious.
Which is hilarious, yes.
But
and
the
everything.
one thing begot the other, right? You visualize yourself doing that, but then you put the work in.
Then the actions happen. So then it's almost like we did an episode on path of least resistance, which is basically the same thing, but it's more of the how that happens in between the creating the physical reality of something, which is that you visualize something and then you're almost attracting the next possible step. Like, so it's not you sit there and you go like, I wish I had $1 million, and then boom, you have $1 million. It's like the next step is you go online and you get an idea of like something that you're really passionate about, like oh my god, like wouldn't that be cool if I did this? Like maybe it's a video, like let's say it's like a video of some YouTube thing, and you're really into building model planes, and you're like, what if I made a video about this aspect of model planes? So then you like go make that video of model planes, and you're just really in it, and you're just in this moment, and then like the video goes viral, and then like and like one step happens, and you're not in control, or you're not in charge of like how the visualization you had manifests. You just have it and the feelings of it, and then it attracts more things in alignment with that feeling and more things that are in alignment with that feeling, until then it manifests into a physical form that reflects the energy, not necessarily the exact picture of what you thought, although it often happens exactly like I manifested that exact pool in our backyard.
You sure did.
Anyway, but
even the weird shit.
But it's like more of the feeling that happens when you get that thing. You know, like it's the same feeling. It evokes the same feeling. It's on the same frequency of feeling that you have when you visualized having it.
Right.
And so it could be what you visualized, or it could be something better.
You know, something I do sometimes that is kind of weird, but it helps me like be, I think, a better person, is I think about like, you know, we all have opinions on things, right? Like, so like, you know, if you want to, like, people always ask me, right? They're like, how do I get on the tubes, and how do I do tubes and all that stuff? And it's like, you know, I love to tell people, hey, look, if anybody can stop you, then you're not going to do it, because that's how it is in this game. Like, people are going to tell you suck. They're going to tell you not to make vids anymore, and like, you know, delete your camera and all shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't. Like, you have to keep going, even when everyone's saying how much you suck or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when I catch myself thinking about, you know, like a mean opinion or something, right?
Yeah.
I try to imagine, like you were just talking about a person or a kid, say, who's like obsessed with planes or trains or something like that. And like, there's something so sad about that kid who like loves planes or trains or whatever it is, having that dream taken from them. You know what I mean? Like I want to be a pilot or whatever it is. And like, then you kind of like almost like fast forward in their life, and like all these little nicks, these little hits that hit him every, you know, whatever it was that hit him and hit him and hit him and him. It obviously wasn't just one moment. It was many, many little nicks. Yeah. But the fact that dream was taken from them. But
see, that's like the parallel reality thing.
Yeah.
Is that in one reality, the nick hit them and they chose to continue going, you know? And then in this one, they let that make them quit.
But that's right? The beauty of like, I'm going to try to determine my own reality, is like, hey, dude, not in this one, pal. You know, in this one, I got hit again. Yep. Damn, sucks. Yeah. Right. Look at me with crypto, dude. How many times I've been fucking hit, but I love this shit. Yeah. And I'm not, this is the reality where I'm the fucking man, and I'm going to win, because that's what I do, baby. That's what I fucking do, is win. You know what I'm saying? Like how did I turn a small amount of money into a big amount of money so many fucking times? It's because, yes, you manifest it. Yes, you think about it. Yes, you visualize things, but you put the fucking work in. And you enjoy it.
But that's the thing, is like you're guided to the work part. Like, and then it's natural. It's like the next natural step for you. That's the path of least resistance, is like it becomes the next natural step. You're not striving for that next step. It's just naturally flowing to you.
Trusting the process.
Exactly. Because if you just like anything you wanted at any time, like would just appear right in front of you, that's so fucking boring.
It's so boring.
That's so, like,
it's
you
like playing
don't
The Sims.
actually want that.
Playing The Sims with cheat code money.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Like the fun is really the process.
It is.
Even the parts where you're fucking so sad and depressed because you're like, I failed at this part. Yeah, but the failure part is inching you towards this other part. You know, it's like
kind of an unfair example because, you know, it's a stereotype, but there's a lot of rich kids who are like get depressed and have, you know, drug addictions and stuff because, you know, the friction was removed, right? So like it's easier for them to do things, and so they don't need to win as much. They already are surrounded.
The drive gets taken away. Yeah. And then there's also like, you know, you're talking about like wanting to reach this goal. Like sometimes I think that people are more in love with the idea of a thing than they are actually with that thing. For example, like fame. Like a lot of people think they want to be famous, but they don't actually understand what all that entails.
Yeah, how to handle that.
Yeah, and so
and they think, whatever, I'm rich, everyone knows who I am and likes me. Yeah, right, bro. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing about it is like, you know, out of 10 people, yeah, maybe a bunch of them like you, but there will be people who don't, and they will be loud, and they will, you know, they'll beat you down. Like that's the whole part of it.
Yeah.
That I think that's the part of when they say like, oh, I don't know if I would recommend fame. Like when celebrities say that shit.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that, and like obviously, like Michael Jackson couldn't go to the grocery store.
I honestly would never want to be famous like that on that level. Like like you don't have privacy. I think I just really value privacy, and like getting to taste like little bits of it. It's like it really helps you understand what you really want if you're tuned into yourself. You know, if you're really tuned in and you're not just falling in love and marrying an idea. And that's another thing. I think people kind of make their ideas their identity, you know, and it happens in like politics and religion and stuff too, where it's like if you took away this thing, it's like you take away your identity, but that's not true. You just decided it was true.
Yeah.
And so like I think being open to like realigning with what you truly desire inside, like after you get a taste of something, you could be like, you have that contrast now. You now have a taste of what you actually don't like, so you can create more of what you do like.
Exactly.
And so people sometimes get hung up on this feeling of like, you know, you hear about people that achieved something, but they're not happy still.
Yes.
And it's like, it's that like they thought that this thing would bring them happiness, but they stopped at that achievement, even though it didn't really, you know, they're not really in alignment with what they're supposed to be doing, you know, because they fell so in love with that, and that became part of their identity. And so I think that like continuously following like really like what's inside, or really what like keep like makes you like drive. I hate using the word happy, because it's not like one thing makes you happy. Like you're happy first, and then it points you in the right direction.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think happiness is just no matter what gets shoved in your face, you're more likely to see it in a good way. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's how I would describe happiness for myself.
Well, and I talked about this in other episodes, but like also solving problems. You know, it's like it's not the lack of problems that makes you happy. It's the solving the problems that makes you happy. So what you would like is better problems to solve. Like people who can barely pay their rent have a different problem than people who are deciding how to split up their 401k, you know, or like how to like diversify their assets or whatever.
That's what I always tell people in Crypto Corner. I don't know how many people believe me, but this is my favorite time of the market. When the markets are down like this is my favorite fucking time, because this is when the real work is done. Like you buying right now is like the hundreds you spend now are thousands later. Like that's the whole thing. Like you're disciplined, and it gets fucking hard. I tell people this all the time. Like in Crypto Corner, it gets hard. And I had a corner recently say, man, I was just dollar cost averaging again. And Steve's right. It gets hard. Like during these downs, like you just almost feel like, why am I even doing this? Because, you know, the idea is to scoop lows and like lower your dollar cost average over time, but it beats you up if you sit there and fucking think about, oh, well, this was $80 last week and now it's $60.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it like you're building your wealth for later, you're building a pile for later. Like you have to have this mental clarity and discipline about why you bought what you bought. I talked about that during the lows. I talk about it during the highs. It's like you have to be able to defend why you bought something so that when the nicks come, when people in your life or your family or whoever the fuck is like, why'd you buy this stupid shit, you dumbass? You know why, and you know why you are going to continue doing so. So, but it is perspective. It is having this love for the process that gets me up every day, and I get excited about it. Like I get excited about what's tomorrow, what's coming out tomorrow, like what projects are working on what. Like I love like getting up to date on it.
So that part is what I hope everyone finds, and like I would love, because I'm like, the whole point of doing an episode like this or talking about the stuff in general is just because I want more people to open their minds up to find that thing where they can't wait to get up in the morning because they feel so guided to do this thing that is ultimately taking them to what they truly desire,
yes.
And what you're subconsciously manifesting. But it only happens when you're continuing to stay on that path of like of that flow. Like, people talk about athletes and flow state and like that, and artists and everyone has that. It's not just athletics and artistry, but like in your life, but it's creative flow, but you're creating your reality like in a way that is satisfying to you or is fulfilling to you.
I believe that so much I can almost not even describe how much I believe that.
Yeah. And I think that it makes me sad, when people lose hope that they're in any sort of control. And Bob Marley even talked about, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. I think this is what he was talking about. I think that he knew, and I think that a lot, as so many other artists do, like so many artists talk about this, but you get to a point where you're like, damn, everyone's prison is actually their own mind. And there's mass mind control out there that's happening all the time. And conspiracy theorists, nuts or whatever, will talk about, the elites controlling everyone through, mass mind control through the media. But it is kind of true.
Dude, I saw 17,000 iPhone commercials, not even from Apple. It's like everybody is like promoting the new iPhone and like telling me I got to get the new iPhone. Like,
yeah, well, that's advertising and marketing, and it does have a psychological effect on you wanting to buy it. But I'm talking about the way that media affects energy and how energy affects your thoughts and then your beliefs and then in your reality. And as a collective, if media is constantly negative, it constantly makes people think bad things and just get dwelling on like how bad the state of the world is, which creates a bad state of the world because you're like creating based off of your feelings.
Yeah.
And so if you can just get out of that mental prison, and maybe that's by turning off the news, maybe that's by getting off of Twitter, maybe that's by reconnecting with nature, or whatever like thing that makes you get more in alignment with who you really are, not influenced by TV or other people around you, even your coworkers or whoever, your family, just like who you are as an authentic person.
Yep.
If you can find a way to get back in alignment, you can start to create more from that point of reality than this prison that you end up creating by trapping yourself in a negative zone that's so hard to get pulled out of. It's very hard to pull yourself out of that state once you sink too far into it.
Yeah.
Like you kind of have to
a pattern.
Have baby steps that pull you back out until you're on this consistent path of like having a higher vibrational frequency. Yeah. And it's hard. I'm not saying like, oh my God, all you have to do is like be positive all the time. I'm fucking not, like
You're not.
I have like so many crazy mood swings. I'm saying that I've never produced anything fulfilling from that negative state. I get to a negative rock bottom state where I'm empty, and then I fill it with the positive stuff, and then I create stuff that's wonderful and that I think I'm always in awe of. I'm like, how the fuck did I make that happen? That's crazy. That's
my like links to my favorite quote is Winston Churchill. It's Every day you make progress, every step may be fruitful, but there will be before you an ever lengthening, ever ascending, ever improving path. And this, so far from discouraging, only adds to the joy and glory of the climb. And to me, that's boom shakalaka, right? Like that's what it's about. It's about, like, I've been working out now the past like couple months, right? And like, I look forward to it now, like, cause it's part of my process. And like, I look forward to, where I end up like feeling stronger, like getting stronger, feeling stronger, pushing myself. Like I am enjoying that again, where I think during COVID, I fucking, gave up on that for some reason. Like I let the darkness kind of swirl for a little too long.
Yeah. So it affects everything too. It affects your health. It creates disease. Like stress actually creates disease, like inside of your body, like real, like tumors, like diseases, infections, things like that.
Yeah. So but falling back in love with the process for the things that I enjoy has been super great for me. Like really, it's made me like, it's given me better perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It no longer becomes, I think people get stuck on this thing like, oh, I have to be positive. Then if I want to create or like I have to get on this routine, or I have to create good habits. And so they're very strict with themselves, and it's not the right flow of energy that keeps you in the direction of like making that part of your life. And then they get frustrated because they fall off their diet, or they fall off the habit, or they whatever. And then
you say, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a reframing of your mind. It's not like I have to do this in order to be successful. It's I can't wait to do this because, well, I love feeling strong. So I'm going to do things that make me feel strong. And like, that's working out, And so when you're doing it, you're not thinking, okay, I got to get this many reps in. You're thinking like, I can't wait to be strong. It's like it's a different energy. It's like the difference between deciding you're going to run a marathon and someone holding a gun to your head and saying, run.
Yep.
Like it's a completely different feeling.
Yep. But that doesn't mean I wake up every morning, I can't fucking wait to work out. It's just like, I can't wait for the feeling I get afterward. So I know I have to do the work so I can feel that good afterward. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like a give and take.
Yeah. Well, would you say that like after doing it for like a week, like your body looks forward to doing it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like maybe you start with like a little bit of discipline and stuff, but after a while, like you're doing it because you look forward to it because your body is feeling good and progressing towards the thing you actually want.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if any of this is like making sense at all.
It does.
To people.
It does to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does it tie to you? Does it tie quantum physics to you?
I feel like you made quantum physics more personal. Yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes I feel like I see these connections, but I don't know if anyone else feels that way.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. I've really been feeling like 26-year-old me is getting to do all the things that she wanted to do but couldn't afford to do. And like I was, painting my nails gel colors, and I was just like, I don't know, playing with a different color. I was doing orange and glitter, and even just like playing with the nail polish. I couldn't afford gels when I was 26, and I was really into nail art. Remember, I was like super into nail art, like loved it, but I couldn't like afford to like do gel stuff. And so even just playing with the colors was like, she got to play with the colors.
That's
like
cute.
I don't really do nails anymore. I don't really I'm not obsessed with nail art, but she was, and she's still living in there. And when I was doing that, it was reactivating that part. It's interesting.
That's cute.
It's like, is it her? Is it like an older version of myself that's coming to the surface, or is it just,
Well, like you said, today's you're your oldest every day you wake up or whatever, but all those parts of you still live in you. I believe in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're also the youngest you'll ever be.
Like that too.
Yeah. Do you like it? I feel like that's so polarizing. Like, knowing that today is the youngest you'll ever be. When I first heard it, it was so depressing to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a hopeful thing.
Yeah. So then I started to see it that way too.
Yeah.
It's like both exist, right? Like,
well, it's
glass half empty, glass half full.
You can forgive yourself for yesterday if you know, because today is a new day.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
today you're the youngest you'll ever be.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that version better.
Yeah. Me too.
Like, live every day like it's your last. That used to depress me too. I'm like, but if it's my last day, I'm like pretty fucking sad. That's my last day.
That's funny.
So how am I gonna live? I'm just gonna live in sadness all the time.
That's so funny. I definitely don't live every day like it's my last, but my God, some of those people are fucking wild though.
I know.
Like, I don't know if I could hang out with some of those people.
Adrenaline junkies, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrenaline junkies, or like people who like, it's like your dad, right? Where it's like we went on vacation with him, and he's like, gotta wake up at 8 a.m. Gotta fucking go drive.
8? He wakes up at freaking 4 a.m.
Exactly, and it's like, you can't just chill, dude.
No.
Like, there's no chill.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, there's no fucking chill.
Yeah. I mean, I have part of that.
Yeah.
I think I got from him, where I'm just like, I failed today because it's noon and I haven't done any of my morning routine to completion because I got distracted, and now I pretty much failed the day. Today is over. It's canceled. I quit.
Yeah. You do that quite often.
Yeah. But I'm trying not to, I'm trying to like break away from that mental state. And I think that, it's always a tug of war for me. But I have found that this whole like, I don't know, manifesting or quantum physics or law of attraction stuff, I've been doing it since I was 18, and when I first learned about it. And maybe I've been doing that before then, because when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be a model. And, some people laughed, but I was like, what? And I want to be a model. And then like within 3 months, I was modeling in a Land's End catalog, and I made real money. And then I did an IBM ad. And like, I think, in my kid brain, I was like, why wouldn't I be able to model? And so then it created that reality. It's like, yeah, I'm decided I'm a model. Like, now I'm modeling within like months, like literally like months. And then as I got older, and people influence you, and they go, why would they hire you? You're not that pretty, and like, like, you don't look like the girl on TV that and then you get in your head and you're like, maybe I'm not good enough. And then I stopped getting cast in things, and I was like, shit, it's like really real. Like, your mind really like creates whatever you strongly believe to be true.
I believe that.
Yeah.
That's why I know a lot of people who I'm like, how the fuck is that guy in this movie, right? Like, we all do that. We're like, how the fuck is that guy in this movie?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's how. Like, they just fucking believe it.
Ignorance is bliss.
100%.
Like, they're super confident because they think they're the best, and so then it sells. Like, it fucking sells.
But see, then you're that person who's watching something. You're like, how the fuck is that? That you're thinking a negative thing. But like, you're just also observing reality sometimes too. It'll trip you up.
I know, it's super trippy. It's like whatever you observe to be real is real.
Wow.
Your thoughts create your beliefs, and your beliefs create the reality that you're currently seeing. Anyways,
I believe that's all we have time for today.
Good segue.
Thank you,
my man. buddy.
But thank you all for listening so much. Yeah. Check us out on the Patreon, patreon.com/sticky, and tell your friends about the show.
Tell us how your existential crisis is going. Leave a comment. Love to hear about it.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.